She sank my boat and called 911 on me. Then I played a video that sank her HOA and her 4.2M marina scam. You ever hear heels hitting wood like a countdown to chaos? Me. That was the sound of Lana Bellamy Power, strutting down my dock like she was hosting the Miss America of misery. By the time she pointed her claw at my boat, I knew something stupid was about to cost me thousands. She brought a PowerPoint. I brought receipts. Where are you watching from? Because this Tampa Bay meltdown is going viral for a reason. She didn't greet me. She announced herself, like HOA royalty dropping in on a peasant. That vessel, she said, pausing like she was naming a disease. Is a visual atrocity that violates our neighborhood's vision statement. I blinked, because apparently, lakes now have vision boards. She waved her clipboard like a sword, flinging a laminated violation notice so hard it almost took out my coffee mug. The offense, color clashing with community aura. That's right. My grandfather's sunshine yellow fishing boat was now apparently assaulting suburban harmony. I stayed seated, nodding politely while mentally calculating the odds I could swim a lawsuit. 20 years in the Navy had taught me how to survive pirates, typhoons, and budget cuts. But nothing had prepared me for a woman whose perfume reeked of desperation and white wine. You have 72 hours to remove or repaint that blight, she snapped, phone buzzing in her hand like a nervous tick. I caught the notification. Sterling Bay Development final notice. 2.3M overdue. Her eyes said power trip, her phone said panic. She dropped a nugget before leaving. You know, your grandfather pulled this same stunt in '78. He won then. But this isn't the same HOA. And just like that, she strutted off, heels clicking like a countdown to litigation. 3 neighbors peeked from behind bushes, hoses in hand. Suddenly very interested in their hydrangeas. Jim, Sarah, and old Pete. They'd been steamrolled by Lana before, but something in their smirks said they were rooting for me this time. This wasn't just an inspection. This was a declaration of war with paperwork. As her luxury SUV peeled out, I wasn't thinking about boat paint. I was thinking about that 1978 comment, the overdue development bills on her phone, and why someone that deep in debt was suddenly measuring my dock like she planned to flip it. In the Navy we had a saying, the enemy always reveals their playbook, if you're quiet enough to listen. And Lana Bellamy had just screamed hers in full surround sound. She thinks she just issued a warning. I think she just signed a waiver. Wait till you hear what my grandfather left behind next part. You ever wake up to find 17 violations from your AOA? That's not mail, it's a legal sneeze attack with glitter glue. Jonah's mailbox looked like a break-up note from bureaucracy. Each letter read like it was written by a poet with a clipboard fetish. Boat, leans 2.3 degrees eastward 500. Fishing line visible from the street 300, and the Pi si dire assistance a boat paint too cheerful 2,500 fine for who-based aggression. Apparently yellow wasn't just loud, it was criminal. Jonah didn't waste time. He stacked the violations like playing cards and drove straight to Elliot Graves, the neighborhood's retired legal wizard and unofficial archive of shady HOA schemes. Elliot's office smelled like ungraded exams and pipe tobacco. The man looked like he'd been carved from courtroom mahogany and seasoned with sarcasm. 1979 all over again, Elliot muttered without even glancing at the stack. Different queen, same crown. Then he opened that old green safe, the one that groaned like it had a story to tell. Out came a folder thicker than a OA handbook, and older than Jonah. Inside was something glorious, a notarized easement agreement signed in 1951, penned by Jonah's grandfather, with a clause written like a landmine. If any HOA member causes property damage, environmental harm, or wildlife disruption, access to lakefront is revoked permanently. For all members, joint and several liability. And one fool sinks the ship and the whole crew swims. Your granddad was a quiet revolutionary, Elliot grinned. Wrote justice in 12-point Times New Roman and triple, underlined it. Jonah felt the pressure flip. He wasn't just being fined into submission, he was being baited into surrender. But now he held a document so nuclear it could evaporate HOA authority with one act of sabotage. The irony. The same people fining him for bird poop were one mistake away from losing lake access for the next 50 years. He left Elliot's office with the same folder, a fresh fire in his gut, and one haunting phrase echoing in his head, they don't know they're already underwater. That night, Jonah bought 2 trail cameras, 4 motion detectors, and cloud storage that could embarrass a tech firm. Karen Bellamy was about to walk herself straight into the world's most polite ambush. Because while she was building citations like Lego bricks, he was building a case so solid it echoed. The lake was quiet, but Jonah's plan, loud, legal, and locked. The greatest revenge isn't shouted. It's notarized, archived, and triggered by arrogance and heels. Karen's about to trade her clipboard for a court date, and she'll be wearing her favorite crime scene selfie smile when it happens. Next part, me. Surveillance, sabotage, and selfie crimes. At 20:17 a.m., my phone buzzed like it owed me rent. Camera 3 had picked up motion on the dock, and when I tapped the alert, I almost dropped my coffee. There she was, Milana Bellamy, dressed head to toe in black lycra like a discount ninja on a home goods mission. She moved like a caffeine-charged pilot's instructor, ducking under moonlight, me, whispering to herself like she was the villain in a suburban Shakespeare play. Except instead of soliloquies, she had a cordless drill and a look in her eyes that said, "Desperate woman, Marina deadline." I watched, me jaw clenched, as she knelt beside my grandfather's boat, the same boat she'd called, "On ice or with attitude." In perfect formation, she drilled 5 precise holes into the hull, not random, no rage. This was methodical, practiced, like someone who had watched YouTube tutorials under a pseudonym. Then she snipped the bilge wires, opened the drain valve, and stepped back to admire her work like it was modern art. Me. The boat began listing slowly, taking on water like it was tired of existing. I could already see the rainbow oil bloom creeping into the lake's surface. And that's when she pulled out her phone. Me. She didn't just take a photo. No, Lana staged a full Instagram shoot on my sinking boat. Peace signs, duck face, fake tears. At one point, she even adjusted her ski mask so more of her face showed. Me. Like facial recognition was a feature she welcomed. I cranked the audio and there it was. Her whispered manifesto, 10 days marina deal, a 2.4 million. If this works, I'm saved. She took a final victory selfie and walked off like she just burned down a gingerbread house and won a bake-off. But she wasn't done. 20 minutes later, she returned, stood next to the wreck and practiced looking shocked. Her face cycled through horror, sympathy, civic concern, and my personal favorite. Oh no, a boat has feelings too. I laughed so hard I snorted. Me. This woman wasn't just corrupt. She was auditioning for a crime she'd already filmed. And the kicker, as she tiptoed off my dock, me, camera 2 picked up a flock of night herons exploding from the mangroves, protected species. One flew straight over the camera lens like nature was signing the affidavit. By sunrise, my boat was 3 feet under me, and Lana's alibi was floating right beside it, oily, guilty, and time-stamped. I didn't post the footage. I backed it up 6 times to 4 cloud drives and 2 externals. Me. I played the shocked neighbor role with award-worthy sincerity. And when Jim from next door asked, "You think someone did this?" I nodded like I didn't already have Exhibit A through Z queued up for court. People act differently when they think no one's watching. But infrared always tells the truth, especially when the liar's in Lululemon. She thinks she posed with her victim. She doesn't know the victim took her mugshot. Wait till she calls 911 to blame me. At exactly 8:02 a.m., Lana Bellamy stepped into her front yard like she was about to film a public service announcement. Hair curled, blazer crisp, voice trembling just enough to scream Oscar audition. Me, she held her phone out like it was a moral compass and dialed 911 on speaker, just loud enough for every HOA mailbox warrior to hear. "Yes, I'd like to report an environmental disaster," she said. Me, pacing like a gazelle auditioning for Law and Order Suburbia. "There's oil in the lake, a sunken boat, and a hostile man with military training." She dropped that last part like a grenade, PTSD, barely disguised in her tone. By the time Deputy Miller rolled up, me, half the neighborhood had migrated to their lawns like judgmental flamingos. Lana practically ran to his cruiser, waving a manila folder like it was the Constitution. "Officer, thank God you're here." Me, "It's worse than we feared." She flipped open her phone, showing him cropped images of my boat, the oil, and, surprise, surprise, none of her in frame. "He did this to collect insurance. He's dangerous." Me, he threatened me. I was 10 feet away sipping coffee, letting her bury herself one sentence at a time. Deputy Miller gave me a once-over. Calm, clean shirt, navy tattoo visible. I gave him a polite nod and said, "Morning." "Sir," he asked, "do you have security footage?" His voice was neutral, but I caught the slight glance at my coffee mug. "Calm men don't commit insurance fraud." "I do," I said. "But I'd prefer to present it with legal witnesses. The HOA is having an emergency meeting tomorrow. Can we schedule something then?" He nodded slowly, handed me his card, me, and said just loud enough for Lana to hear, "Call me directly. Anything you need." Her face twitched like her Botox had expired, and then karma did what karma does best, trip the powerful at the dumbest moment. Me. As Lana pulled out a flyer from her bag to hand to the deputy, her manila folder slipped from under her arm. Papers scattered like white confetti in the wind. I bent to help, purely out of performative kindness, me, and caught the prize, a deposit check for 100 zalazan made out to Sterling Marina developers, dated next week. Attached was a construction sketch, my dock, labeled Main Marina Entry Point. I handed it back with a smile that could have passed for ignorance, but we both knew what just happened. The neighbors watched her scoop the papers like a raccoon caught in a recycling bin. She mumbled something about planning materials and future beautification. Deputy Miller arched one brow and jotted something in his pad. Mom, he said, we'll be in touch. I raised my mug to the crowd. Some waved. One whispered, is that the same woman who measured my dock? Another muttered, she told me she was building a duck sanctuary. And just like that, the cracks in her story began to spread like lake oil under a sunrise. People don't fall because of their lies, They trip over their own paperwork while yelling them. She staged a crisis. I let her host it. Tomorrow's HOA meeting has a projector, a police officer, and a plot twist. If freedom had a fragrance, it would smell like rust-proof padlocks, legal precedent, and coffee at 5 a.m. I was up before the sun, unspooling chain links like I was closing a zoo exhibit. Except this time, the animals had bored seats and bad intentions. One by one, every lake access point got secured: boat ramps, docks, kayak launches. I even zip-tied laminated signs to every gate. Access revoked due to easement violations, property of the Bowers Trust. Official enough to cause panic, petty enough to feel amazing. By 7:30 a.m., the first panic posts started populating the HOA Facebook page like ants on spilled soda. Why is the ramp locked? Is this legal? Did Jonah actually chain the lake? Lana responded in all caps like a human siren. Atishi SS domestic TRORS mos bisto ped. My favorite comment was from a guy named Brian. So do we fish from the parking lot now? By 800 neighbors were circling like confused ducks, holding rods and floaties, whispering like I'd launched a coup instead of enforcing an old contract. Lana sent out an emergency email titled, HOA Under Siege, summoning everyone to vote on expelling me and filing $1 million lawsuit, which was adorable. I spent the rest of the day fine-tuning my presentation like it was a TED Talk for vengeance. 4 angles of video, date stamps in bold, crystal clear audio of Lana whispering her marina countdown like a villain in a debt-based opera. I brought snacks too because there's no point ruining lives on an empty stomach. Meanwhile, the neighborhood reached critical meltdown. A jogger kicked the chain at the boat launch and sprained his pride. A woman claimed her emotional support kayak was being held hostage. Someone even called the local news, who politely declined until I mentioned the HOA might be dissolved on live stream. At 6:45 p.m., the clubhouse was packed like a suburban gladiator arena. People brought lawn chairs, iPads, even popcorn. Lana took the stage in a blazer 2 sizes too confident, flanked by board members who looked like they'd rather be in witness protection. Neighbors, she began, why are here tonight to remove a dangerous man who has attacked our community? She pointed dramatically at me like she was casting a spell. He sunk his own boat, blocked your lake, and now claims we violated his rights. Mom, I said calmly, holding up a flash drive like it was a scalpel. If I may, I'd like to show the HOA exactly what was recorded that night. She rolled her eyes. 3 minutes. Then we vote. And bring your lawyer because we're filing for damages. Oh, I brought more than a lawyer. I brought history. The lights dimmed, the screen came to life. And somewhere in the back someone whispered, wait, is that her in a ski mask? Sometimes the best courtroom is a clubhouse and the most dangerous weapon is a perfectly organized folder. 200 people showed up to banish me. They're about to watch their queen sink her own throne in high definition. I hit play like I was lighting a fuse, and the first frame dropped like a piano. Night vision footage, time-stamped and blessed with 4 camera angles, filled the clubhouse projector. There she was, Lana Bellamy in all black Jim Coucher, creeping onto my dock like a discount ninja on a Groupon mission. The gasp started slow, then built like popcorn in a microwave. Is that her? Someone whispered. That's her pilot's hoodie, said another. And then the Pi CD resistance. Lana posing for duck, faced selfies while my boat quietly committed insurance career suicide behind her. I didn't speak. The room didn't breathe. She cut wires like she'd been trained by sabotage consultants. Whispered her countdown like she was in a James Bond knockoff. 10 days, marina contract, 4.2 million. The audio echoed through the clubhouse like guilt on surround sound. Someone's child muttered, she's crazy, earning a shush from a now regretful OA voter. But the real implosion came when she typed her fake caption, so sad, community safety first, and took 10 more selfies like she was the victim of her own crime. The board sat frozen, their color draining like a printer out of ink. Lana tried standing, but her knees forgot how. It's edited. Deepfake, he works in tech, she shrieked. That's not me! I raised an eyebrow. Mom, the camera caught you in 4 angles, 2 poses, and 1 full monologue. Then came the bonus round. Birds fleeing the mangroves. Protected wildlife caught on camera flapping away from her cordless sabotage like witnesses in feathers. Q. Elliot Graves, strolling to the front like Atticus Finch with a retirement beard. He opened the original easement agreement, yellowed from age but sharp enough to cut careers. Section 4.3, he read, voice crisp. Any act of property damage, water pollution, or federal wildlife disturbance by any HOA member triggers full revocation of lake access for all members. Effective immediately. The silence hit so hard you could hear someone's dignity dropping. Then it unraveled like cheap yoga pants. "She's ruined us!" yelled a man in a fishing hat. "I just bought a jet ski," screamed someone else. A woman clutched her HOA dues invoice like it was radioactive. The vote to dissolve the HOA passed unanimously, Lana's red suit looking more like a bullseye with every raised hand. Even her own board bailed like rats from a sinking yacht. Me. Elliot slid the microphone back to me. "Looks like the lake's mine again," I said. "And applications for personal permits open Monday, 1 per year, unless you helped her." Then, me. "Good luck fishing. When you sabotage a veteran's boat for a marina deal, expect the lake, and your HOA, to drown with you." Her hair was curled. Her story was scripted. But her arrest photo's gonna be candid. Tomorrow's headlines are drenched in karma. There's poetic justice, me. And then there's Lana Bellamy in an orange jumpsuit picking up beer cans around the lake she once tried to privatize. Every Saturday, 8 a.m. sharp, she waddled in like a disgraced duck, trailed by a court-appointed supervisor and enough humiliation to power a solar grid. Her reflective vest read, "I sabotaged a boat for money." Her expression read, "Please let me disappear." And still, residents came out early, lawn chairs in hand, watching like it was HO Wimbledon. Meanwhile, I set up shop on the dock, one folding table, one chair, one question. Why should you get lake access? Every resident had to earn it, 1-1, no exceptions. Jim from 2 doors down, approved in 60 seconds. You filmed her, Jim. You saved this story. The Rosedales, me, who warned me about Lana measuring docks, also approved. But Chad, the HOA treasurer who once said, "Just follow the rules, bro," while sipping cucumber water. "Need me." "But this is discrimination," he barked. "No," I said. "It's a memory test, and yours failed." Then came the ripple effect. Local real estate agents updated listings. Jonah approved lake access. Buyers loved it. Property values didn't dip, they soared. Turns out, people pay extra to live somewhere with actual justice and no monthly newsletter threats. One agent told me she'd never seen anything like it. You basically became a human homeowner's warranty with a fishing license. And as for Lana, she became the AOA's most visible legacy, dragging trash bags across the shoreline while kids pointed and whispered, "Me. That's the lady from the video." Even her old board members crossed the street to avoid her. The lake healed. The boat was repainted the exact yellow my grandfather loved, me. And the community learned what real oversight looked like: one man with cameras, contracts, and a very long memory, me. You don't just build community by painting fences, you build it by defending docks when no one else will. The lake is clean. The HOA is history. But Grandpa, me, he left me one last thing, and it wasn't just property. What was in his final letter, me? There's poetic justice, and then there's watching your former HOA president in a prison, orange vest picking up cigarette butts, next to a lake she no longer has the legal right to name in conversation. Me, every Saturday, Lana showed up like a recurring rash, bright, irritated, and impossible to ignore. Her jumpsuit glowed like traffic cones warning future Karens, "Do not sabotage veterans with night vision cameras." Even the ducks avoided her now. I repainted Grandpa's boat the same sunshine yellow it had been in 1951. Not mustard, not pastel sunshine. Cost me $2,700 to get the paint custom mixed from the original brand. Me worth every penny. I even framed the incriminating selfie Lana took while the boat sank, peace sign and all, and hung it in my shed under a plaque that read, "Me. Evidence ages better than ego." The final letter came wrapped in wax paper tucked behind the paneling of the boat's cabin. Grandpa's handwriting was still sharp, still sarcastic. It read, "Me. If you're reading this, they tried again. Good. You were raised to finish what I started. Make the lake honest, not just pretty, me. And if they come at you with real estate brochures, record everything and fish harder." That became my motto. I restored the shoreline, installed fishing benches, built a community rack for kayaks, me, but I also kept the padlocks, just to remind folks that access is a privilege, not a given. A few former board members asked again for lake permits. One even brought cookies. "Sorry," I said, me. "Cookies don't undo silence." Lana. She finished her 48 weekends without another word. Her court-mandated memoir flopped on release. Only 10 people bought it. 7 were lawyers, and 1 was her ex-husband. The final chapter was titled, "How I Tanked a Neighborhood with a Drill and a Dream." Fitting. She blamed the HOA, blamed the marina, me. Never blamed the woman in the mirror holding a selfie stick over sinking fiberglass. I, on the other hand, became somewhat of a local folk hero. Me, realtors advertised, Jonah, certified lake access, like it came with spiritual blessing. Property values jumped. Families moved in with fishing poles and questions about dock etiquette. The HOA was never rebuilt. It couldn't be. The community finally understood true harmony isn't a newsletter, it's shared decency enforced by consequences. And you know what the real win is? Not the revoked HOA. Not even the spike in property values. It's walking out to that yellow boat every morning, coffee in hand, knowing the water still remembers who respected it, and who tried to weaponize it for profit. Me. My grandfather didn't leave me instructions. He left me tools, boundaries, paper trails, and the quiet confidence that legacy isn't inherited, it's protected. So no, this wasn't just about fines or fences. It was about drawing the line between community and control, between power and decency. And maybe most of all, between those who take selfies during crimes, and those who install 4-cloud, connected night vision cameras before they go to bed. The lesson: evil doesn't always wear a cape. Sometimes it wears a name tag that says, "Oh, President," and misquotes bylaws like scripture. But justice, real justice, it wears overalls, files documentation, and makes coffee before it chains a boat ramp. If this story gave you something, a laugh, a plan, a feeling of, "I wish I had done that," then hit like. Drop a comment with your own home madness, revenge idea, or just tell us where you're watching from. And subscribe, because next week we're diving into another community war where the only thing more toxic than the HOA was the homeowners themselves. Before you go, what story should I tell next? Was it the HO boat battle that hooked you? The federal charges, the duck face selfies in night vision? Drop a comment below and tell me, what should I take down next? A fake neighborhood watch, a golf course that doubles as a cult, or that time a mailbox war triggered a class action lawsuit. You choose, I deliver. So, subscribe and ring the bell, because your HOA horror story might just be the next circle of curiosity.